Hey everyone. Here we are back with our flipped classroom learning. Today we are looking at section 9.3, which is solving quadratics, using square roots. Okay, so realistically, the type of problems that we're working with today, you guys don't have a B term. Okay, so here's our essential question. How can you determine the number of solutions of a quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus c? So we just got a, we've got c. What we're going to do is we're going to solve, and we're going to use square roots to help us solve. Okay, so there's our essential question. Make sure you get it written down. But if you need more time, make sure you pause the video because I'm moving on to the next slide. We are not doing this. Okay, so our core concept, you guys, solutions of x squared equals d. So this is just like some other number. Basically, whoopsies. Basically, what happens is we have just when d, so when the number on the right-hand side of the equation is greater than 0, you've got two real solutions. Okay, so you're going to take the square root of whatever's on the right-hand side. And remember, anytime you take the square root, you've got both the positive and negative side of things. So remember, Joey Man. Okay, so anytime you take the square root, you have this positive and negative. Don't actually get in the habit of calling it Joey Man. I'm just saying that so that you remember exactly what we talked about. Okay, so and then moving on, when you have d equals 0, you're going to have one real solution. So again, if we kind of think about it, remember when you had one real solution, it just kind of hit the x-axis. Okay, that's basically these type of problems. And then when you have d is less than 0, you have no real solutions. Okay, so on the next slide, we're going to go through 3 examples. So the first 3 examples that we have are going to give us 2 solutions, 1 solution, and no solution. Okay, so make sure you, again, that you get this stuff written down. Whoopsies. So my goal, you guys, is to get through these 3, and then I want to do this example, and then I'll be done. Okay, so first off, our goal right now is just to solve for x, get x all by itself. So first step would be to add 27 to both sides. So then we've got 3x squared equals 27. From there, you take and you, again, are just trying to get x all by itself. So you're dividing both sides by 3. So that gives us x squared equals 9. So now, the next step that we're going to go through and complete is we're just going to take the square root of both sides. Take the square root of both sides. Remember, that's how we get x all by itself. So then here you come up with x equals, and remember 9 is one of our perfect square numbers. So it's 3, but it's both positive and negative 3. Okay, so in this particular instance, for this type of equation, you come up with 2 real solutions. Okay, so 2 real solutions, that's what we come up with here. Taking a look at letter B, and maybe you're already kind of seeing this, we've got negative 10, positive 10. Again, we are just trying to isolate x, get x all by itself. So right now we've got x squared equals 0. Again, if we kind of just continue on with this process, like, oh, we're trying to get x all by itself, let's just take the square root of both sides. This just turns into x equals 0. Remember, we don't have positive and negative 0. 0 is just its own entity. It's just its own thing. So this time we just have one real solution. Okay, then taking a look at letter C, Okay, letter C is starting out to look a lot more like letter A. Again, we're just trying to get x all by itself. So if we take and we subtract 11 from both sides just to get ourselves started, so this is going to turn into 5. All right, now again, just working on getting x all by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by -5. So that's going to turn into -1. Remember, you cannot take the square root of a negative number. Okay, so when you get to this point where you can't go any further, automatically you have no solution. And you've got no solution, again, because you can't take the square root of a negative number. If you have any questions, remember to just write all questions on the left-hand side where it says questions so that when we go through this stuff together tomorrow, you're able to recall your questions and ask them. So we're going to quickly do the next example, and then your job is going to be to do the 6 extra problems that are down on the bottom. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, this time, again, we're going to solve using square roots. Right now, you've got this entire quantity squared. Okay? Now remember, this is x minus 1 times x minus 1. Okay? So what we are going to start by doing, in order to get x all by itself, the first thing we have to do is we actually have to take the square root of that entire quantity. So what's going to happen is this square and this square root are just going to end up canceling each other out. So this then turns into x minus 1 equals, so right now on this right-hand side, we've taken the square root of 25. That's going to turn into positive and -5. Okay? So from here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to separate this into 2 equations. So you have x minus 1 equals positive 5, and then x minus 1 equals -5. And then your task from here on out is to isolate x, get x all by itself. You're coming up with 2 solutions again, because you've got a positive number on this right-hand side here, so you know that you're going to come up with 2 solutions. So add 1, you come up with x equals 6. So there's one of your solutions. And x equals -4. That's your other solution. And basically, you guys, you should be able to take each of these, plug them in. So 6 minus 1 turns into 5 squared. That turns into 25. If you take, if you take -4 minus 1 squared, -4 times, or -4 minus -1 is -5. -5 squared again will just turn into 25. So plug both of these back in, check to make sure that they work. Okay, so now just kind of giving you some tips, looking at problems 1 through 6. My focus kind of goes directly to number 5. The first tip I'm going to give you with number 5, you're going to have to divide. Okay? So when you're looking at number 5 for the extra examples that are down below this problem, with number 5, start off by dividing by 4 and then take the square root of both sides. I'm going to stop here so that you guys can just do the first 6 problems and kind of have your the rest of your time to get those 6 problems done. So I am done. Go ahead, work on the next 6 problems. Make sure you get them done for tomorrow. If you've got any questions, make sure you bring them to class with you. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.